What's going on, everybody? Rob here, aka Trev2323, 1973 wheel horse. I'm gonna rebuild the fuel pump right there today. I ordered the the breather valve, but I'm basically shooting fire out of here. I smelled the difference. If you pull the dipstick, you pull the dipstick, and it looks like kind of dirty right there, see? But it's so thin, I actually have gas going into the engine through the fuel pump. So I ordered another diaphragm. Now I did put a fuel filter in line, and with the fuel filter I have a shutoff valve. So I have a shutoff valve for the fuel filter, and with the battery I have a shutoff valve for the battery right here. So right now I'm going to take off, and I'm going to put you the battery here so I can see where you're at. Alright, there's a bolt right here, a bolt right here, 2 screws for the lines. Okay, the other bolt on the other side came off with a 12mm. I can't even get a socket in here. It's like that's bent right there, so I'm going to get a crescent wrench. Alright, so you got to make sure that little thing goes up. That's the pump, see? Pumping the gas out of there. The gasket wasn't sitting on right. So maybe that could have been the problem. The gasket wasn't sitting on right, but since I'm to this point, I'm going to take off that diaphragm, 4 screws right there, and we'll see what's inside. Because you've seen it when I was hitting it. This goes up, remember. This goes on the engine, and this was what creates the diaphragm move to pump the gas from this one to the diaphragm out to this one to your motor. Okay, so let's get this part number. This is from, oh, I almost dropped it, from iSave Tractors, FUE1004. iSave Tractors, FUE1004. The diaphragm, the spring, and the gasket. Alright, so this right here, like I said, the gasket was torn and it wasn't on right anyways, so that could have been one problem. But let's go ahead and get these screws out right now. All I'm going to do is take these screws off right here. I'll be right with you. Okay, remember, the fuel pump was working, although gas is leaking into the engine somehow, and I could tell because that oil is, I mean, I don't even got 25 hours on it, and that oil is just leaking all over the place. So these were actually very loose. So I'm getting all these screws out right now. As I mentioned, the gasket was torn, so I'm hoping that was the problem. But since I'm this far in, I'm going to go ahead and replace the diaphragm. Alright, now this says it's an airtex. That's what's on there. All the screws are out. Trying to, sounds like it works really good. Trying to get this apart now. I got this tractor used. Somebody, that went right across my finger. Somebody did some work on it. So there's a diaphragm right here. There's an in and out right there. And the diaphragm actually does look pretty good. I don't know what's stuck on in there. It's stuck on something. Let me see. That's pulling it down. Alright, I'm still finagling with this, but what I did notice is this has 3 pieces of rubber, and the one that's on it only has 1 piece of rubber. So that's a big difference than with the ones from iSave Tractors. Look at all those rubber pieces compared to this one. But I'm still trying to finagle this to get this out, but I can't get it out. Like, I even cut the whole spring out. Okay, so this one has a little groove in here. This one has a mushroom at the bottom. So this might have been like an aftermarket or something like that, because I cannot get that mushroom out. So I'm actually probably going to cut this with a hacksaw to see what else I can see in there. Not gonna lie, I completely massacred this fuel pump trying to get that piece out so I could finally see. I actually drilled it out from the top. You can see I drilled it out from the top. Okay, So here's what I'm looking at, and I still don't know if I get that piece out because there's a mushroom at the bottom of that. So if you're gonna buy a fuel pump, buy American made one, because I'm still trying to get lifted up that piece out right there. And see, it's supposed to have a little swivel piece to go in, lock in right there, but this got a mushroom end. See the mushroom end? So I can't get this out for the life of me. OMG, I went to go drill it out, and when I went to go drill it out, the two pieces in the pack just popped out. It came backwards, and I'm able to get it out. Popped right out. Now I can put the new one in. I cannot believe it. The back two pieces, this is an airtex, so all metal one, not a cheapy one. This damper for my safe tractors does not fit this airtex. I gotta adapt it some. I have to shave this down so it could fit this way, because if I do it this way, it goes in, but it still does slip out. So I gotta shave it down on both sides so it could fit in like this. Alright, I had to bust out the Dremel right in there. See, if I had it in there, I filed it down with the Dremel, and now it goes in there. So before I put this back in there, see, when you put these pieces of lead back in here, that screws and sits against your motor anyway, so that's going to be in there. And I didn't get those to pop out. I started trying to drill the little mushroom off of this, and when I drilled the mushroom off, bam, these two just popped out with the pin, and it sits right in there. I'd rather have this one than a cheap Chinese one that people are talking about breaks. So this is an all metal one, so I'm going to clean it up really good. It pumps really good, but it was leaking. But like I said, more than likely it was leaking from that gasket. Alright, that's been a project to learn. Okay, so first I'm going to go ahead put this into here. I know there's kind of only one way this could go into here, so you got to back it out slightly. Okay, put your spring on this. Now this, when you put in, you're going to have to twist. This is backed out a little bit. Try to get it pushed in there. Voila, that's how it's supposed to work. Okay, so now those are in. I gotta put these in the back right here. These are just pieces of lead, so those hold that in place. So I gotta find out which one goes to which one. Then I'm gonna tap them in with a little hammer. Oh, that one went in pretty good right there, and that one went in pretty good right there. So I'm gonna tap those in with the hammer. Those gotta be tapped in before I start looking for my holes to put that back on. This is 3 pieces of rubber on this one. Alright, I tapped them in with a hammer, and if you twist this, it'll pop out. So you make sure you cannot twist that. Put this on the way you had it, and I know the way I bolted in. This was my carburetor, this was coming in, and then Bob's your uncle. I'm so glad. We're gonna see if this works, but I really am trying not to twist this anymore because it popped out on me already one time. So I'm gonna get these started and go get my screwdriver, and then let's see what we got going on here. airtex, made in the USA, rebuild. I did find out those bolts aren't supposed to be bolts. They are supposed to be screws, but they were working. The gasket was bad on the other one, and the damper was just, it was newer, but it was just flimsy. This has 3 of them on it, so I had to retrofit this piece FUE 01004 onto this. Alright, everything's in right there. Gotta turn on the battery, turn on the fuel, which I got to shut off over here. Gas is on, fuel's on. 12.7 volts. Anything dripping already? Nothing dripping already. Let me open the garage. Alright, so let's see. You gotta give it time to prime the line.